You're looking at a Loam Dreads V 4-color Jund. What is this monstrosity?
All right, first off, Jund is the name of a 3-color combination, so
Well, right. So are we? No, I hope this is like uh, Jund with blue in it. Can we call it wet Jund?
no. That naming convention is atrocious, and it is Jund with blue in it, as we see from this watery grave.
All right. So, what did we call? Let's see. You and I played a standard deck in that one format. In the cons format, that was
Mardu green.
Mardu green. So it was not blue.
Yeah, this one's not white.
Not white. Okay. Wet Jund.
Let's name it Moist Jund if we're gonna go this. Let's just go all the way.
sloppy moist Jund.
I don't want too many adjectives in my deck names. Moist Jund, perfect. That's more descriptive.
Oh man, RPTQ Snapcaster Mages being shown off here.
Thing is, ugly as sin.
Did Victor actually go to an RPTQ?
Not a name that I went to.
None of that I went to either. We covered a lot of ground at our RPTQs, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
So he's clearly traded or bought these. I'm willing to,
What an
to guess
imposter.
the latter. And Bill's going to take the Dark Confidant. I like that choice here. As the Snapcaster Mage represents value one time, but the Dark Confidant represents ongoing value
The Dark Confidant represents greatness.
at any cost.
Literally any cost.
Bill's not interested in Victor having any greatness.
Victor top decks an Inquisition of his own, fires it back, which... Oh my.
Wow.
That's a Street Wraith.
Okay, so this this Death Shadows deck that we've been seeing popped up in the top 8 coverage?
I don't think so. I mean, Death Shadow is an established archetype. It's been around for, a good 18 months now. It definitely does not play Liliana the Last Hope.
Well, no, there's this Death Shadow Jund.
Oh, really?
Oh, did you not see these lists?
I haven't seen him.
Holy smokes. So it's a Jund deck that instead of relying on Tarmogoyf and like a 4-drop, like a Kalidas or a Thrun or something of that nature to turn the corner and win the game, they just go low to the ground and play a Death Shadow like several turns earlier.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
and
Jund can definitely lose some life.
Get to close the game faster than that. So it's like, it's a Jund deck that is interested in. Also, a lot of these decks, I've seen a lot of Traverse the Uvenwald come up in Modern. Card seems awesome. I know I'm going to pick up my playset as soon as I can. I have one.
Yeah, I still have my playset from Standard.
Yeah, I got to finish mine off. Alright, so the second Inquisition takes the Snapcaster Mage. And this fetch land looks like it's going to result in Billy going to 12.
So he's going to Thoughtseize, take the Collective Brutality. So this is an interesting setup here for the deck where like you can deal yourself a lot of damage, but if you don't have the payoff in Death Shadow, then there's not a lot of point in doing so.
Right.
You're just living on the edge for nothing.
I don't think it's really going to matter here. Victor's got 0 action in his hand.
Correct.
And alright, well, this is embarrassing that Victor's Snapcasters don't match.
That is utterly embarrassing.
The Inquisition takes Liliana of
Which turns on
the Last Hope.
Traverse the Ulvenwald, actually.
There you go.
So he can traverse for the Death Shadow now.
Alright, so Death Shadow is a 3/3 here.
Embarrassingly low for a Death Shadow.
Right.
We don't know what Billy's last card in hand is.
Yeah, but this is interesting. So, like, I would continue to keep that last card hidden. If it's like a Street Wraith,
Oh, yeah.
and you try and like bolt the Death Shadow, he cycles the Street Wraith in response. Like, it can be very bad for.
How about a top deck Terminate? How's that one feel?
I don't know. I mean, Victor, the top of Victor's deck has been fantastic here.
It's what Jund does. Although, like, the blue in this is just bad. So Snapcaster is sweet. Serum Visions is whatever.
Here's a
I think I saw a
Pool.
Spell Snare, which is also whatever. Alright, Victor Kurz untaps.
Billy's got, looks like 3 cards in hand and a dwindling life total here. Victor's going to continue to show us
A Mishra's Bauble.
no cards in hand. Alright, so he's got a search on the upkeep. Billy wants to sack the bobble on Victor's, or search on the end step. Billy wants to sack this Mishra's Bauble to look at the top card of Victor's library on his upkeep.
Correct.
Alright, so Victor's not allowed to see this card. I wonder if there's a Tarmogoyf, or I'm sorry, a Tassiger. Well, Tarmogoyf does it.
So Billy draws 2 cards here. A Death Shadow would be sweet. He's got nothing, though. So I know he had at least a Thoughtseize in hand. I don't know what else.
Yeah, I really thought Billy had that game locked up with Liliana in hand, Traverse Uvenwald backup, and Victor top deck 3 cards in a row that were just like very interactive with the specific threats Billy had.
Yeah. Specifically for that Liliana, it was the Inquisition that really just took it down before it even hit the battlefield.
Yeah, Inquisition is like the one card that can actually interact with Liliana.
Sure. I mean, like, Abrupt Decay can, but... So it's not the one card, but it was the best card there because he already had the Snapcaster on the board.
Correct. Interesting stuff, interesting stuff. So, I'm not sure what this moist Jund deck brings to the table that a normal Jund deck doesn't have. I mean, I guess you get a little bit more love from your Snapcaster Mage, but I've always thought of the Jund decks as having a diverse array of threats.
Right.
Or, I'm sorry, answers to threats, and Snapcaster Mage just repeats one of those answers. Whereas, like, the diversity is the strength of the deck, not the repetition.
Right. I don't like the blue in here, at least not... So, Serum Visions is pretty embarrassing for Jund. Snapcaster is obviously a very powerful card and a very powerful effect, even in this deck. Spell Snare, I don't understand what we're spell snaring that's like so important. Like, oh, got your Tarmogoyf, but good thing I still have these like 18 removal spells in my deck.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I could see this becoming a metagame deck if there was a very specific 2-drop that needed to be countered for Jund.
Right.
On the flip side, this Death Shadow Jund combats the burn matchup very well from Jund's perspective.
Yeah. I guess you get a large creature very early.
Yeah. Not to mention, like, their burn fuels your creature's power and toughness.
Right. Yeah, it's super interesting. I think Billy's favored here in the long term.
So it really depends on the sideboards here, honestly. So game 1, I think Victor's a little bit favored because he probably has more removal and less like cute stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But post sideboard, I mean, it's going to be who sideboards correctly, who's able to like take out their irrelevant cards. Honestly, Billy drew like 4 discard spells that game,
Yeah.
and that's like a very bad card in the what we'll consider, I guess, a Jund mirror.
Sure.
And we didn't see any from Victor in game 1, but I'm curious to see what he cut from this Jund list to make room for the moistness. I have a sneaking suspicion it's Liliana of the Veil, and if that's the case, I'm just like so far off. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could like... I mean, Liliana of the Veil's the best in the mid-range to control matchups.
Right.
I guess you could replace with Ashiok if you wanted to.
Yeah,
but
Ashiok's
we're on
good.
2 different power levels there.
Yeah.
By a long margin.
So Ashiok's actually pretty good in like the control mirrors. Or control the
Jund.
mid-range.
Yeah, Jund is the mid-range deck in that scenario.
Right. But I don't want a metagame to beat Jund right now when like Jund is such a dog to so many different like archetypes that are very big in the current metagame.
Yeah.
Tron specifically.
So if I'm Billy here, it's very hand dependent what you take, but he took the Inquisition.
Inquisition's probably right.
Yeah, you just need to protect the rest of your hand there.
So it, like you said, it's very hand dependent. I don't know what specifically Billy's worried about being cast that he even wants the discard spells in.
Alright, Victor looks at a couple lands here. I don't imagine he's going to keep either of those.
Yeah, lands to the bottom.
Alright, Billy to 13 with the Tarmogoyf on board.
I could see a moist Jund list with Snapcasters and Thought Scours to fuel Delirium on like
Ooh,
Grim
I like
Flayers.
that a lot. That's an
interaction I can get behind that brings some blue to the table.
Alright, so our spotter has chosen to insist upon the die being there. We'll just keep you guys up to date. It's a 2-3 right now. We got Sorcery and Land.
Alright, it's still on camera. I don't think Billy realizes that.
That's fine. We'll keep Billy in the dark.
Alright, so Fatal Push.
Here's a push on the Tarmogoyf. And that's going to be the turn for Kurz.
Not an impressive turn.
No, I mean, here's the thing. Victor didn't spend all his mana. And you had to assume that was the bait card from Billy. Like,
Well, here's a bait card from Victor.
Is this the Spell Snare payoff?
Countering a Goyf when you've got like Snapcaster with Fatal Push. Seems not worth it to me, but what do I know? Oh man, we've got a Fulminator Mage in the deck now. This is just all over the place.
Yeah, he's really spread them here. All right.
So Spell Snare eats the Goyf. And Victor gets to untap.
And he can this is the turn where he can Tasigur with backup.
Does he have backup?
I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine what kind of backup he's, particularly.
Yeah, so if he doesn't
playing
have
here.
a second Spell Snare, then it doesn't make a lot of sense to Spell Snare the Goyf, because you can just Snapcast or Fatal Push it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you could have, like you said, Tasigur with 1 mana up to Spell Snare. So we're snapping Inquisition, hitting a Liliana.
And a little bit of visible frustration from Comminos.
Yeah, Snap Inquisition was a pretty good read.
Alright, so he's going all the way down to 10 here. Victor has 1 unknown in hand, a Steam Vents, and a Tasigur.
Billy has a fetch out there that is yet to be popped. So Bolt's not going to get it here, although I don't even know if Victor's playing Bolt. We haven't seen any.
Is that a Grimflayer in his hand?
Yeah, I think the hand is Land, Grimflayer, Tassiger.
Okay. Yeah, Breeding Pool, Steam Vent, Grimflayer, Tassiger. Alright. Victor's going to figure this out here. Go to 14 to play the Steam Vents. Here's a Tassiger paying 2 mana and delving 4, leaving Fatal Push behind. And Grimflayer.
Man, it does a good job of stonewalling this Death Shadow for now.
Well, the more impressive thing here is that the Death Shadow is stonewalling Victor's team. Billy with the additional fetch land, which isn't like the worst draw here. And oh gosh, that's gonna get you. Yeah, that's gonna be the game once he removes the Death Shadow. Interesting.
All right.
All the removal, all the King's horses and all the King's men there.
Yeah.
Victor got to play 100% of his cards. Like, they were 100% of them were relevant in both games.
Oh, sure.
And so I feel like anytime you do that in a match of Modern where like all of your cards do their thing, you're going to win that.
Definitely. Not a big fan of this Jund with blue or whatever we're going to call it, but definitely got the job done there.